Super Fantasy Brawl is sensational. It took 6 years for a game to come along and knock X-Wing off my number one spot for the greatest game that I've ever played. But this little arena combat game has all but consumed my PC gaming time on Board Game Arena. And I was just going to go all in with the latest Round 2 Kickstarter, but I couldn't resist not having the actual board game for much longer. So I bought myself this big white box that's no longer available, unfortunately, off the Mythic Games web store, specifically to bring it to this channel and show everyone here some games whilst I gush about how amazing it actually is. So Super Fantasy Brawl is, as I said above, an arena combat game for 2 to 4 players. In this box set there are 12 characters, and each of those characters has 6 specific cards. To play the game against 2 people, which is the main way to play, you both pick any 3 of the characters, you lay out the arena and 11 challenge cards, flip the coin to see who goes first, then both place 2 traps down on one of the trap spaces. Lay out your player dash with your hero's face cards and 3 coloured tokens, and then shuffle all 18 of your hero's cards. Place your 3 heroes on any of the 5 starting hexes and flip the challenge card to see what your objective is. You win the game by being the first to 5 challenge trophies. As you can see on the side, the longer challenges are on the board, the more they are worth, until they slowly fade into obscurity and become worthless. Both of you draw 5 cards, and as you'll notice there are 3 colours, red, blue and yellow. Only the hero the card represents can use that card, but some of them also have a circle in the top left, which are reactions, and any one of your heroes can use any of the reactions when attacked. But they do consume the relevant coloured token, so come your next turn, you will only have 2 actions. Anyway, player 1 chooses a card to play and flips over the relevant colour of their 3 tokens on their dash, based on the colour of the card, so that means you only have 3 actions per turn usually, unless a card gives a free action or lets you flip over a token. You can also play one of the actions stated on the player board if you don't have a decent hand of cards, but mainly you'll be playing a card as they usually gift movement, attacks with a stated range, where you do set damage and don't have to roll any dice, and also you get special bonus actions like push, pull or force. After your turn's over, you discard your entire hand and draw 5 new cards. So make sure to choose your cards wisely, especially since you don't claim challenge cards until the start of your next turn. So of course that means that during your opponent's turn, they can usually try to ruin your chance of scoring points. The only point they can't stop is when you eliminate someone from the board. Every knockout you achieve grants you a point, and your opponent removes that hero from the board and places them back in the dugout. Your hero's card then gets flipped as they get a little bit stronger, and your opponent's hero loses a level if they have been taken out. They're not out of the game forever though, as they refresh everything for that hero and they can be moved back on the board during their turn. That's the basics of the rule anyway. The rulebook is free to download, and you can also play it on Board Game Arena with the in-game assistance to help you learn the game. So check it out if my rundown has piqued your interest, as I will now gush about how I fell in love with this game. Anyway, this one went right under the table with me. I'm usually up on a lot of the massive Kickstarters, but I didn't even notice that this one existed until I was chatting about it on a forum about Street Fighter the Minis game. Someone told me to check it out, as I'm a fan of fantasy, and so I watched the usual deluge of videos, checked out the Mythic Games site, and discovered the rulebook and Board Game Arena site, which had literally just received this game. So I ended up watching a couple of how to plays and jumped into Board Game Arena, playing against a lot of friendly French. I picked the game up pretty fast and soon discovered that going for the challenges was the way to win rather than just going for kills, especially since it can often dictate your opponent's movement in their turn, so long as they understand the game is about challenges instead of kills. And seriously, A kill-only player will be beaten most of the time unless they have some heavy damage-dealing heroes. And with them only having 18 cards, you sort of get to know what they have, along with knowing all the 11 challenge cards. And so that gives you sort of an opportunity to predict what could be coming down the line. Now, one thing that's often a problem in combat games is that they can have certain combinations of heroes and cards that just outright break the game. And they often are the ones that see continuous use on the table, especially when new expansions come out and the company wants to sell the new hotness. But I want to let you know that the heroes right now are genuinely balanced all across the board. Corvash is a bit of a beast if you know how to use him correctly, and Marius is the weakest if your opponent knows that he only gets stronger when he is wounded, so a savvy opponent will just ignore him, giving you a hero who can be a bit of an objective claimer in the early game, who puts pressure on your opponent's back line. But you have to remember you have 3 heroes on the board to do something with, and overall you'll end up with wanting to play sometimes 2 blues or 2 reds in the same turn. And the fact you only have 3 coloured tokens to do something in your turn means you get a lot of tactical thought process during every instance of the game. And the smart move seems to always be better than the rash or the bold one. Being as you only have a hand of 5 and there are only 18 cards in a consistently rotating deck, means that one great card might not be useful this turn, but in 3 or 4 turns' time. It might be the one that wins you the game. There's nothing more satisfying than positioning your heroes just right to set up that perfect 1, 2 or even 3 combo that pushes an opponent into a trap and takes him out, or even pushes them off points and gives you a chance to threaten a point score that they suddenly struggle to deal with. Those well-timed moves honestly make this game feel like a Street Fighter style video game, especially when I believe genuinely great players who know the cards, know how to use their hero synergy, and know their decks, know the challenge deck, should almost always win. And that competitive aspect is something that has really piqued my interest. But I want to say it, the game isn't just fully competitive also. This plays so well casually. You can do silly stuff like shuffle the hero face cards up and deal them out randomly to make a team. You can put models in a bag and draw them out to see who you get. My 8-year-old, for instance, picked this up after just a couple of turns. He doesn't enjoy it as much as me, as he prefers co-op games, but this game just works as a core experience for both sets of parties, just like X-Wing once did for me. The reason X-Wing First Edition anyway, I never transitioned to second and ended up selling everything, was my number 1 for so long, was because it had everything I loved in a game. Simple to play rules, a game that I can play solo easily, great game balance. X-Wing struggled at 100 points, but at the 60 point level it was pretty amazing. A small play area, quick setup, and expansion play ease. And what I mean by that is you can buy an expansion off the shelf and put it on the table straight away without building models or decks, and everything that X-Wing did right, this game does exactly the same. All the models here might not be painted like X-Wing, but they are fully monopose miniatures you can just get out of the box and get on the table. They are highly detailed, even if they do have the odd mould line here and there, and because every model is so individual and has a different race or theme around it, you can instantly tell at a glance which model is which. My favourites are the Tiger, Su Zhao, and the Geisha inspired Snake Lady, Sulka. Though I do have a fondness for every single one of the heroes in that set that I got. I just wish I could have got hold of the first expansion that was available during the first Kickstarter, the Forces of Nature one, as I love the Centaur Taze also. It is a shame that I couldn't get it, but it will be here soon enough, along with the all-new 3 Kickstarter expansions that came about because of Round 2. And if you have watched to this point and are interested in this game, I can't recommend enough jumping into the Round 2 Kickstarter late pledges to pick everything up for a reasonable price. You see, this is coming to retail either later this year or early next one, as Mythic really want to make this a competitive game that is played and supported in stores, just like X-Wing was. And I think this is a perfect environment for it, especially since games really don't last longer than half an hour, and it has that off-the-shelf and on-the-table greatness. But for me, the one problem with this game is the cost of the retail experience when compared to the Kickstarter. You see, this game is unfortunately great, but not exactly cheap. The core box costs about 30 quid and features just 6 heroes, with boxes of expansions costing about 20 quid each and featuring just 3 heroes with their 18 cards. That means to get the same as this box right here, which I paid 58 quid for, with shipping from France, is going to cost you 70 quid at retail, and that's just for the models and cards. I don't know if the beautiful statues are in the core box. They are about another 20 quid, and I received some plastic tokens that will cost about 10 quid, along with some game tray storage. I know a load of people complain about the big white box, but I personally love it. And after watching a video by Side Game LLC on YouTube, where he showed you how to store things inside this box for ease of play, I have been able to whip this out and get it on the kitchen table at a fast pace. But anyway, back on topic. The Kickstarter is pretty much a bargain at this point, and I can't stress enough about how much you should late pledge for this if you want it. Yes, it will cost you about 130 quid for an all-in gameplay with postage to the UK. It's a lump sum, but put into context, it's no different to the price of a GW box game that you can't just instantly play straight off the shelf. Now, round 2 was not a second edition, but they did change a couple of rules to make it a bit more fairer. Those are the rules I know, so it's what I'll always use in upcoming battle reports. But as I've said before, if you're interested, go on the round 2 Kickstarter page, download the rulebook, whip through it, and go out and try it on Board Game Arena. Those guys there, so long as you politely say hello, should help you out. So in summary, I really have nothing bad to say about this game. It's a 2-player arena combat game with no dice, easy setup and play, where you don't just have to go for glory in kills. You get this off the shelf and you're done in about 30 minutes. I love the themes of the awesome fantasy monopose miniatures, and I love the tactical positional nature of the game. This for me has become the greatest game I've ever played, and I just want to say merci beaucoup to Mythic Games for creating something this special. I just hope you continue to support this with more expansions of even greater, larger than life, but still very balanced heroes. Au revoir.